Levi Stadium is staring down one of the rarest doubleheaders in American venue history. Super Bowl 60 on February 8th, and the 2026 FIFA World Cup in June and July. In one calendar year, Santa Clara goes from the NFL's biggest stage to the world's biggest tournament, and the logistics are as interesting as the games. The building itself, 11 seasons old in 2025, has been tuned for broadcast connectivity and crowd flow, but the real story is what it takes to flip an over 68,000 seat NFL Super Bowl venue into a FIFA-compliant soccer theater. That's two very different global broadcasts, two very different crowd flows, and a single operational mandate. Don't just keep up, set the benchmark for the Bay Area. This is the fascinating story of what it takes for Levi Stadium to host these monumental events back to back. Levi sits in northern Santa Clara, about 40 miles south of San Francisco. The building opened in 2014 after Santa Clara voters approved the project in 2010, giving the 49ers a modern alternative to Candlestick Park, which had numerous design flaws and began to frustrate fans as it aged. The venue's baseline numbers were pretty impressive. Approximately 68,500 seats, 174 luxury suites, and around 9,000 club seats in a 1.85 million square foot footprint, expandable to a capacity of more than 75,000 for major events. In NFL mode, roughly 2/3 of the seats live in the lower bowl, which causes quite an issue with FIFA's field geometry, but more on that in a minute. The move from Candlestick, ultimately demolished in 2015, moved the 49ers further from San Francisco, but closer to their training complex in Santa Clara. The building has already demonstrated that it can handle massive events. Super Bowl 50 drew over 71,000 and pushed 10.1 terabytes of Wi-Fi usage. The latter may not seem important at first, but you'll understand its significance better later in the video. 3 years later, the national college title game packed in just short of 75,000. International soccer arrived in force in 2016 when Levi staged the Copa America Centenario opener in a slate of matches. And all of this matters in another way. The Bay Area is a multi-venue region, but Levi's is the only facility with the scale and broadcast infrastructure to carry both a World Cup and the NFL's championship game. For context, Stanford seats around 50,000, California Memorial roughly 63,000, Oracle Park 41,000, and PayPal Park about 18,000. And of course there's the approximately 60,000 seat Oakland Coliseum, but that venue has a slew of its own problems. Capacity isn't everything, but for hard tickets, temporary structures, and the additional facilities required by FIFA and the NFL, those differences are crucial. If you're serious about hosting the biggest events in the Bay Area on a recurring basis, this is a building that has to be best by a practical definition, the one that can take the heaviest lift without degrading fan flow, broadcast, or neighborhood impact. Between 2024 and 2025, the 49ers and partners executed a roughly $200 million upgrade program aimed squarely at the two 2026 showcases. The biggest feature in the enhancement was adding the NFL's largest 4K end zone video boards. Each of these are 70% larger than the screens they replaced, with triple the amount of pixels. Also included is new LED sport lighting, with 55,000 square feet of LEDs installed throughout the stadium. Under the hood, the venue swapped in Wi-Fi 6, with about 1,300 access points tied to upgraded 5G. FIFA mandates a 105 meter by 68 meter natural grass pitch, plus clear runoff zones of about 4 meters on the sides and 5 meters behind the goals before any boards or hard edges. To achieve this inside an NFL bowl, Levi's will remove and alter corner seating and field walls to widen the playing surface. The project also includes installing a tournament-grade natural grass system with upgraded drainage and venting to handle heavy use and fast recovery. These works, budgeted at $20 to $25 million out of a total local estimate of $45 to $50 million, are scheduled for February through June. The 49ers management company is building the improvements, while the Bay Area Host Committee funds them, with the 49ers guaranteeing to cover any shortfall. Now let's talk briefly about scheduling. Levi's hosts 5 group stage games in June 2026, plus a round of 32 on July 1st. The stadium has already cycled through soccer overlays during past international windows. However, the FIFA footprint is bigger, more rights holder space, more mixed zone infrastructure, and stricter security perimeters. On purpose, the stadium's 2025 upgrades front-loaded anything that could reduce construction conflicts in the 2026 window. Transportation plans are always where stadium projects meet reality, and 2026 is no exception. VTA light rail feeds directly to Great America Station on the north side of the stadium, Caltrain riders transfer to VTA at Mountain View, and Capitol Corridor passengers walk 5 minutes from Santa Clara, Great America. And for Super Bowl 50, all of the rail systems greatly increased their services, with VTA carrying around 10,000 riders and ACE operating dedicated big game trains. For the Super Bowl and World Cup, it's reasonable to expect more of the same. Now let's address one of the less discussed, yet arguably more crucial topics: security. FIFA matches will have a robust multi-agency plan, but the Super Bowl is treated as a national special security event in the US, placing the Secret Service in the lead for security operations, with the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI in defined roles. Practically, that means harder perimeters, credentialing protocols that extend well beyond stadium staff, expanded federal presence at team hotels and practice sites, and layered comms under a single incident command framework. It's invisible if you're a ticket holder, but it affects everything from broadcast truck placement to where the last rideshare drop-off occurs. Santa Clara's curfew is 10 p.m. on weeknights and 11 p.m. on weekdays, with limited exceptions. High-profile concerts, like Taylor Swift's 2023 shows, often push these limits, sparking debates. For major events like the World Cup and Super Bowl, schedules are tightly controlled. The curfew mainly affects concerts, but it's part of a regional calculus. The best stadium also includes the neighborhood roles which it operates in. Santa Clara officials have publicly estimated city costs for Super Bowl 60 at roughly $6.3 million, most of which is made up of security and public safety. Now, don't get me wrong, $6.3 million is a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's a tiny drop in the bucket compared to potential tax revenue and economic benefits the city will gain. For area residents, this is positive news, as any costs exceeding a reported $6 million will be covered by the team, reducing the burden on taxpayers. In contrast, the costs for World Cup games are a lot more complex and harder to track down, but the Stadium Authority plans to add a $4 to $6 surcharge on tickets to help cover expenses. Think of 2026 as a two-act engineering job. Act 1 involves converting the stadium for football, soccer, football under broadcast scrutiny, ensuring FIFA requirements are met without compromising player safety or sightlines. And then after all that, reversing for the NFL preseason. Act 2 covers everything fans interact with: adaptable wayfinding, concessions, retail, and a robust connectivity plan. The 2025 tech refresh, 4K boards, IP control room, new core, and Wi-Fi 6 was timed to make both acts seamless. For the 49ers, this matters in two ways. First, the move from Candlestick shifted operations to a transit-served campus that can handle modern events. Second, improvements for 2026 benefit the regular season: brighter lighting, higher resolution boards, faster networks, and more resilient control systems. Regardless of funding debates, the stadium's standard on an October Sunday benefits from the demands of a July Wednesday with the world watching. The punchline is simple and unsentimental. If Levi's nails both events, it doesn't just host the biggest shows in the Bay Area, it makes itself the obvious first call for the next decade's worth of them. To leave you on an interesting fact and to illustrate the magnitude of the Super Bowl, 2025's total consumer spending for the event was projected at $18.6 billion, and 2026's projection is expected to be even higher. At Billcore, we're building America, one story at a time. We cover some of the most impressive and headline-grabbing projects and topics across this great country. And with your help, the channel has grown to over 50,000 subscribers and reached over 10 million people. With that being said, thank you, and I'll see you next time.